welcome to my channel. So, a couple of years ago, my Freude am Fahren automobile choked on its own timing chain, and I was kind of in a bind. I was short on cash, and I ended buying this old scooter. It's a Piaggio Sfera from 1993, and they have a reputation for being very reliable. Sadly, this one was not. The previous owner apparently had no idea about scooters, so the little bike suffered from lack of maintenance. The biggest problem was a cracked exhaust header. If you know your two-strokes, you know they can react very sensitive to changes in the exhaust, especially because the cylinder can drag air through the exhaust and the mixture might lean out therefore, and catastrophic engine failure might be the result. I tried to install an aftermarket exhaust header, but it wouldn't fit, so I lost interest in working on the scooter for the time being. Also, they installed a fancy clutch that is fully adjustable, but never adjusted it properly, meaning that the clutch would engage way too early and the engine nearly stalled when trying to accelerate after a stop. It was just awful. After I broke down and I had that thing towed to home and parked it in front of the house. Nobody was bothered by it except my landlord. He doesn't even live here, but drives past the house at least twice a day. In those few seconds, he was always so bothered by the mere view of my scooter that he started annoying me to get rid of it. Since the good tenant that I am, I of course moved it inside into my kitchen. That made him happy because he didn't have to look at that ugly thing anymore. But now I had this broken scooter in my kitchen, and what am I gonna do with it? Well, it was comfy to sit on and watch the telly. But one day I got bored and moved it upstairs and just took it apart. Nothing happened since then. But now I decided that I'm gonna give this scooter a little refurb. Not gonna make it perfect, but make it run so I can enjoy riding it. There are many little backwater country roads in my area that are twisty enough to enjoy it even with a restricted scooter. Keep in mind that little thing only weighs roughly 80 kilograms or 160 pounds and has a very little low center of gravity. The engine, the Piaggio Hyper or the old style Piaggio, I'm not quite sure at the moment. It is a horizontal layout and mounted very low on the bottom of the scooter. In combination with the tiny 10-inch wheels, this thing is just so easy to handle. Also, there are many lovely spots at the River Moselle and the River Rhine near me that are well worth a trip. And of course, there will always be the Nürburgring, my home. I will go there to see friends, and still, I think I owe David a cup of coffee and some nuggies at the Devil's Diner. Also, those scooters are dirt cheap to run. You only need to pay something between 35 and 85 euros insurance a year. It depends on your age and the insurance company and all kinds of blah blah blah. But it's kind of cheap compared to a big motorbike or a car. They're also tax exempt because they have less than 50 cc's. I mean, the piston, it's the size of a shot glass, so you don't have to pay tax for it. And you also exempt from the mandatory safety inspections that you would have to go to with a car or a bigger displacement motorbike. That's because they are restricted to such low speeds like 30 miles an hour or even lower. That's the deal. You don't have to pay tax and don't have to do the safety inspection, but in turn you can go fast. But you know, it doesn't really bother me. When I lived back in the Ruhrgebiet, I rode a scooter like that for like 5 years, and I would commute every day between Duisburg and Düsseldorf. That was like 20 or 40 kilometers every day. And since they don't take much petrol, it was actually pretty cool. And you are not dependent on the public transport system that's not always reliable, and especially especially in the later hours, You meet very special people. So yeah, it's just win-win for me. So this thing will also get a respray. It's not really necessary right now, but you can simply remove. You cannot simply remove the front fender and also not the front fairing without removing the fork. So it's quite an elaborate task. So I at least have to respray those parts, and maybe the rest I do later. I haven't really decided on a color yet because one day I like green and the next day I prefer blue, and then on some days I would like to have it red like a car from Maranello or something. But I really like the color scheme of the old Yamaha Aerox in the Jaguar Racing edition. If you remember the days when Jaguar had a Formula One racing team, they had a very special mixture of the Jaguar Racing Green. It was you can't really buy it in the form they did it in the past. But if you remember the old Yamaha Aerox or MBK Nitro scooters, they came in a special edition in that color, and it looked pretty, yeah, it looked pretty fucking awesome, I think. And there was also a couple of years ago a special edition of the modern Vespa in a very, how I think, sexy British racing green kind of color. It's a metallic or pearl effect paint, and you can get it in spray cans. So it would be a little bit more expensive than normal paint from the Home Depot store, but since I don't have to do the whole scooter at once, I might go for it because I really like the way the color works in the when the sunlight falls onto it, and you know what I mean. I also like turquoise or turquoise. I don't know how to say it in English. Turquoise. Uh, but since it's a 90s scooter, I think it should have a metallic or pearl effect paint job. Because in the late 80s and early to mid 90s, metallic paint was just all the rage. If you had a unicolor paint on your car, you were just a nobody. You were not worth talking about. But anyway, maybe I also go with the original blue. It has a really nice blue metallic from the factory. And since I worked at the Subaru dealership back in 1998, Subaru was pretty big back then in the WRC. So I was always I always have a soft spot in my heart for the WRX STI versions with their striking sonic blue or however that color was called, and then the combination with the golden wheels. I really loved that. Those cars, they were amazing because I had the opportunity to drive some of the customer cars back then, and they were often modified with aftermarket 3-inch catback exhaust systems, coilovers, and a little bit of engine mapping, so they would do at least 300 or more horsepower. And with the permanent all-wheel drive, you always have traction, and the sound from the boxer. Oh, well, I'm getting off track. I'm sorry. But I really like that color scheme, that nice blue metallic with gold wheels. I think it always works. But since my budget is tight, I might end up just spraying it in white. Because white spray cans are so dirt cheap from the Home Depot store. It's a half a liter can is not even 10 euros. And for example, the green metallic, uh, from for the Piaggio paint, that would be like 20 euros for a 400 milliliter can. And then you also have to add clear coat because on the metallic or pearl effect paint, you can't just paint it. You always have to put clear coat on top, or otherwise it will look dull, and it will wear off very fast. It's not very sturdy without a clear coat. So that would make the metallic paint job uh, triple. It would cost the triple amount of what a unicolor paint job would cost. So white is an option, and I could just slap some stickers or vinyl on it at a later point in time to make the scooter maybe look a little bit more cool or more to my taste, let's say it like that. Also, red and yellow are also still in the race, but I actually would like the scooter not to be too flashy. I mean, I'm not 20 anymore after all, and I prefer it a little bit more understated nowadays, not too loud. But the red, of course, like Italian sports car always works. There's a nice red metallic color that you can get from the Home Depot store for like 10 or 11 euros per can. So that would only be twice as expensive as normal color. And the yellow, maybe I make how do you say, maybe I spray it in yellow as an homage to my favorite rental car back when I was still renting cars from the gardener. But I haven't decided yet. But I think it will be a dark British racing green kind of thing because I'm really much biased toward it now because I'm also thinking of adding gold accents. I think that would work really great. Dark green with gold. Yeah, the wheels will be painted gold anyway, so that would work very well. Um, yeah, anyway, that will be it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. And it's just something informative to get the ball rolling, say it like that. I don't really know how to make all this. I will just make content while I'm working on the scooter and try to edit it as good as I can. So if you have ideas or constructive criticism, I'm always open to that. Leave me a comment. If you like the video, leave a comment. If you don't like it, leave a comment. It doesn't matter as long as if you stay civil. And I will see you freaking later. Bye.